Beeline. What's good? It's your boy Brian B. I'm back at it. Yes, sir. How you doing? What's going on? It's another Tuesday on the YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Once again, 9 p.m. is where you want to be. Tuesday nights. It's your boy, Brian B. I'm back every week. Like I told y'all, I was coming back strong this time. We got guests. We got screens on the screen consistently at this point. I'm loving it. Once again, if you guys want to come on, you can come on and do what we doing today. You know what we doing today? We doing this today. We talking with strangers. Yeah. That's right. That's what we doing. We got a screen on the screen. We got somebody with a big story. She even got a book, so you know she got a story. And we're going to talk about it. Guess what? It's the Beeline. Brian B is happening right now. Let's go. That's right. That's your boy. 1-1. Just
COVID Mania.
It's your boy
Ryan B. And this is what you call.
Yes. Yo, listen, I hope y'all I love my introduction. Yo, this is the first, I finally, after having it out for so long, I worked really hard. I'm about to do some changes on it, some minor changes on it soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the love and support. As always, like, share, subscribe, do all the regular YouTube stuff that you do. And please, leave your comments. Let's have discussions. I want debates. Am I the only person in the world who likes to argue? Like, come on, bro. I know people like to have discussions about things that we talk about, especially on here. We're controversial. We don't care. We get straight to the point. We ain't sugarcoating. But hey, Beeline, check it out. We got a screen on the screen. We talking with strangers today. And I have a very special guest, and I want to make sure that she gets her time to shine like everybody does. That's going to come on for this segment. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Miss Chandrika Phea, y'all. That's right, Chandrika on the Beeline. What up, Chandrika?
What up, Beeline strangers? Yes. What up? Listen, he said he liked to argue. You want to argue?
Listen,
That's
me right there. That's me right there all day. But hey, yeah, so you coming on to Talking with Strangers segment. Thank you. I don't know what segment this is. I really need to start counting them so I can start keeping track. But like I said, this is an open platform, and I know you have a lot to discuss. Very interesting. You are an author. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Listen, I had this sentiment one day after a life-changing experience in another country. I came back home and went back to Christian ministry, and also came back to the atmosphere of having a Black president historically, and also, watching Christians, fellow Christians have a problem with having a Black president. And I said out of my prayer life, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. And I heard that as a book title and began to pray about how and what that title should be, and really pressed into that sentiment, where it came from, what it means for me. And I wrote a book. It is now best-selling and award-winning. It hasn't even been out a year yet.
Okay. So that's obviously, just to start off, let's just fireworks it up.
Let's get to the point.
That's some controversial shit right there. So
right.
So we definitely going to talk about some stuff here today on the Beeline. So hopefully you guys, like I said, leave y'all comments, discuss anything. Brian B, I'm gonna talk about it. It's cool. But so let's start off with the part where you said you had an experience. You said out of the country. So So how did that come along?
I had an opportunity to go and live in China to do some missions work and teach. And I, as a part of the missions work, my determination was to change China. And
wow.
China changed me.
What was the planned book in that? How the hell was that even going to be?
I was going to change a nation, honey.
That's crazy, yeah.
And as far as I knew, I was going for a year to change. I was going to change a nation in a year.
Wow.
But yeah,
That's
I was
a hell of a feat right there.
I was going to change the nation. And my thought was just that, you know, if I built relationships with students and offered them the Christianity that had been offered to me, then they would offer it to their families and their families, you know, just generationally. And I did. I spent 2 years teaching Bible study, going through the book of Luke with 7 Chinese freshman college students.
Yeah. How just out of curiosity, because this is a field where I'm gonna be real with you, I have no knowledge whatsoever, so this is all learning for me. But how is religion in China? How is it looked at? I do know that there are believers of God. You know, and China is Europe, right? Or is it Asia?
Asia.
This shows me. I'm geographically challenged, like. but I'm just saying, like, I know they believe in God, you know, based off just like, you know, certain knowledge. Actually, my, you know, damn near my wife basically is she's half Japanese, so she, you know, has that culture with her as well. But how were they accepting of that? Like, what was it open? Were they open to it, or were they kind of like, I just want to check this out?
So I would say that China is a religious country, but not Christianity. Definitely not Jesus. It's, you know, a country that believes in Buddhism. And so
that's right.
Right. So the government there does allow the belief, at least, of Christianity. But it also monitors the belief and perhaps the growth of Christianity as best as it can. It's a bit of a spy. It wants to keep tabs on the growth of it. And so in that, there are certain rules and guidelines they put in place that makes Christians in a lot of cases kind of go underground with how they experience Christianity. So there are a lot of underground Christian churches in China, which is pretty much against the law.
You know what's so crazy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know we get a lot of things, you know, here in America. Like, you know, I'm like I said, I'm not somebody who branches out. I don't like flying, so I don't really go to a lot of different places. Like, you know, I'm hearing about people's experience, just like I'm hearing about your experience now. So that's how I'm experiencing the rest of the world. You hear people all the time in America, no, we're not a free country. We're not this. Well, we're not that. I think that we've become so accepting of our freedom that we do have, that we don't understand, because everything isn't free. You know, and there's still a lot of like, stuff that certain people in this, you know, country are held back from. But we don't understand like the advantages we have when you hear about something like that. Like, in China, you can get in trouble for how you believe in a higher power. That's some craziness, yo. It's like you can't think a certain way. I think that's true, like bound right there. Like there's no way that you can sit here and even have any kind of other kind of thought process towards something without potentially being punished for it.
Right.
So how can you have any kind of other experience except for this experience that's designed for you? That is some troubling shit, man. And it does make me think, like, you know, when I hear people complain about, oh, we're not free, I'm like, do you really know what that means? Like, certain people can't think a certain way.
I don't want to leave the impression to your audience that Chinese people can't think or believe what they believe, but expressing it is often a threat to the government.
Hey, but look.
So for us, there is the freedom to believe and express. Yeah. Now, I will offer, though, that because expression of what they believe isn't embraced, they actually have to be what they believe. And that's not something we have the advantage of doing, because we've never had the opportunity to actually to have our expression limited. So we get to wear what we believe. We get to put it on our cars, we get to put it around our necks, we get to put it in our earrings, holes, we get to tattoo it on us. And so, you know, but what I believe that does is take away the opportunity to actually be what you wear. In China, so there's a scripture where Jesus tells his disciples, he said, it's written of him to have said, I want you to be known by the love you have for each other. And so that is the identity they have to live by. No one will ever know that they're Christians. They'll have to be identified by how they love each other.
So basically you're saying it's not what they say or it's not what they show, it's how they are.
It's how they are.
So it's showing and proving, basically.
It's how they are. You'd have to be in relationship with them and think there's something different about them. I love the way they love. Versus us here in the States, we can wear the crucifixes and we have all the freedom of expression, but then oftentimes we don't reflect what we wear. We don't reflect the
I get it.
The freedom of expression that we have.
So that is I mean that's still like very, 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 very hard to like grasp, where it's like you have to be, I mean, at the same time, but it still is kind of like your hidden identity, because it's like, yeah, you do have to show everybody, but don't you have to go through, even no matter what. If I'm a cop in America and I'm got my badge on, I got my hat on, I got my nightstick, whatever cops carry, and I walk down the street, I'm obviously a cop. I'm respected as a cop. I'm shown as a cop. Everything I do around me is going to be perceived. That's a cop. That's what we got to do around everything. Everybody takes on from there. But when you are just forced, if I'm a cop, but I'm just wearing, regular shit, like I'm not, everybody's going to come up to me with different ways. Maybe the person want to come rob a bank with me. And this is just very simplistic kind of ideal kind of relation or whatever. Right. But literally, so it's still got to be challenging, because people are still going to treat you a certain way because they don't, and until they get to know you, or whoever gets close to your life is going to be like, oh, wait, this person is different. Maybe this person has different views or this things. I can see it because I know them now. But how often do you really get that close to people to have that kind of understanding from another person? Like most people you see aren't really, involved with you like that.
I'll tell you
work, whatever.
That I didn't go around in China. I couldn't saying, hey, I'm doing a Bible study. My students saw something different about me. And that's it. Remember, Christianity didn't exist when Jesus lived. So
I don't know. I went to church my whole life, but I know what I know, but I don't know that much.
So Christianity didn't exist when Jesus lived. So he told his disciples, not that you would be known as a Christian, not that you would wear the outfit, not that you would have the tattoo, but that they would know, people outside would be able to discern that they were the disciples of Jesus. Not by how they loved Jesus,
that's crazy,
but how they loved each other.
Yeah. It's very complex when you think about it. Like I said, I'm just even though it's simplistic, the cop analogy that I had right there, but I guess it's also from me being, whether it be just whatever you want to call it, American, being able to express myself anyway, just like a lot of people are able to express themselves in any way. When you could do that for so long, I guess it's difficult to look at another challenge. If I didn't see somebody as a certain person, oh, that guy's a bank robber, what I'm saying? But that does, kind of express different, flaws that we have in our design at this point. Because if you put a hoodie on and you're black and you walk into a store, people think you're trying to rob somebody, so it's different, kind of understandings that everybody's having as well. But it's just crazy to hear that, your perception of somebody else is based off of just their being, and nothing else. There's no disguise. There's no makeup. It's just how you are is how you're going to be perceived by somebody else's perception. That's some puzzling shit right there. But I get it though. I get it. I understand it, but it's just I guess, like I said, I'm just thinking how close do you get to people? You can talk to somebody online. You can talk to somebody in this. How fast are you going to build? And also how open-minded are you? Because it would take a lot for you to really be able to open yourself up to say, hey, I see something in this person. You know what I'm saying? Twisted the head and shit. I see something in you different. It's just hard to think because people got so many distractions.
But it happens. It happens though.
Yeah.
I am ordained. I have a degree in biblical studies. You don't find that stuff on my Facebook page. It's not, You know what I mean? I have a degree in this, and I'm saying I don't want to die a Christian. I'm ordained, and I'm saying I don't want to die a Christian. And I had those things before the experience of being in China, where I could not be a Christian, where I could not express it. So I had to figure out how to be what I believed over there, because I couldn't do or wear what I believed as I had always done, which then made me try to figure out, who am I without all of that? So
that makes a
now
lot of sense.
There's no church membership. Now there's no, I can't wear a crucifix because it attracts the police to me. I can't wear the clothing. I can't, the uniform, as you talked about, I can't wear the collar. I can't do any of that. I don't have the parking spot that says pastor. You know, so now I don't have it. Who am I without all of that? And that's kind of what began my journey to not wanting to die a Christian.
That's really, really interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really just put it into a clearer perspective that way. And it's basically showing, like, you know, kind of weeding out, how do you know this is your identity without showing it? You know what I'm saying? Like right. how So you were forced to do that.
Yes. And so the disciples had, their identity was not wrapped up in who they followed. Their identity was wrapped up in how they loved each other.
Got it. Yeah, well, that's a hell of a feat to sit there and experience. I mean, and I'm guessing you didn't go into that, like, you know, thinking that was going to be the outlook that you had to have.
Absolutely or were going to have. I told you I was going to give China the business about Christianity. Now I have some regrets. Now I wish I had done things different, but I didn't know anything else. You know, when my students said, you know, you're so happy. Why are you so happy? We want to know. All I knew to offer them was what Christianity had taught me, that I was happy because of Christianity, when really I didn't even know I was happy.
So let me ask you, since you had that, you know, experience and it changed your life, it made you write a book, how has your life changed from what you were previously doing before you had that experience?
So let me go back to but what I was doing before I had that experience. Like I said, I have a degree in biblical studies, and I had that degree before going. I was pursuing the collar. I was pursuing the pulpit. I was pursuing pastoring in the traditional sense. I was pastor of worship. I was the pastor of music and arts. I was the minister of outreach. Ministry was my life. That's all I ever knew to do. And I went to China, came back to the States, experienced culture shock in church. And that was the next, I guess, stage of deciding I didn't want Christianity anymore. So I went from pursuing the pulpit to going outside. I became a triathlete. I went and bought a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
I learned how to swim. I started hiking and kayaking and really exploring the world and people. I feel like, and I write this in my book, that Christianity didn't hurt me, but it did hold me back. And so it hindered me.
All right. Okay.
And so what I say it hindered me from was the experience of people, the world, and you know, and life. You know, how it's hard for me, in my opinion, to experience humanity, you know, and the whole of humanity, the whole, and what that word means. It's hard for me to do that and be a Christian. I tried. So I went outside because I had expanded. My perspective of God and people and life had expanded, and it couldn't fit in the walls or in the boundaries of Christianity. But outside could take it, though. Outside could handle it. So I went outside.
That's what I was kind of like, that topic right there has always been interesting to me. Like you were just saying, like, literally it feels like, you know, people are so, you know, deep into their beliefs a lot of times, whether you're born into it or whether it's just something that you explore on your own and you find your own, you know, whatever works for you. Like, this is what it is. At the end of the day, you can believe whatever you want to believe. You have atheists, you have people who don't think there's nothing there. There's people that think that that's all there is. People on bicycles coming to your house and knocking on your doors, trying to tell you what they think. There's so much, you know, that it's kind of like corruption. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but I'm just saying, when you're that deep, where you have such a strong belief method, that's all you see, that's all you know, there's nothing else that you can see in a way. Your door is so closed.
You don't have a desire.
there's no reason for a desire because you feel like you found the answer. And if you feel like that, I'm dead ass. Like this has been my own. This has been my own experience with whether you call it religion or whatever. I grew up in church. I grew up my aunts telling me stuff and this and that or whatever. It wasn't until I got older. You know what's crazy? What really this is going to sound crazy as hell, but what really opened my eyes to trying to see things how I want to see it instead of how I was taught to see it was comedy. And I'm talking about Chris Rock. I'm talking about Louis Black. I'm talking about comedians. And I'm just listening to these guys and their experiences and different words and thoughts that I never had. And I'm understanding, why do I think this way? Because of what these funny jokes are just saying, whatever. Why do I think this way? He's right. He's joking, but he's right. And I found myself trying to figure out, like, I definitely believe in God, but is it because I believe it from this area? Is it because I believe it because this person told me or this preacher or this? Why do I believe? You know what I'm saying? Yes. And I started asking myself those kind of questions. Do I believe because I go to church every Sunday? Do I believe because of... And it was really weird that I just found my own kind of understanding that worked for me in my life. Mm-hmm. Even now I'm going through it where it's like, you know, my girlfriend, she's always like, IT Tiff's still here, y'all. She don't really come on the show too much more, but maybe we're going to do a thing and she'll come back or whatever. But, you know, she's very deep in her, you know, spirituality, and she, you know, goes through it and she has a lot, but we're a little different, but we both believe the same. So it's like, it works, but I had to find my own identity with religion, yo. And I didn't want to just have it be what I was taught to be. And I don't think a lot of people try to find it. I think that's like you were saying, you went out and literally triathlon. You were doing so many different things just because, was it because you felt closed? Like, you know, you finally felt open now. Like, this is kind of holding me back from experience after you had your...
It was holding me back from experience. But like I said, the experience I had already had expanded my perspective to say there was more. You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah.
There's got to be, sure. There's more than this. More that I had become wanted to be even more. There's more of the more I had become, if that makes sense.
No. Yeah.
And I had to get out. I couldn't breathe. I felt suffocated in the confines of a church membership. I felt suffocated. Even before I went to China, I was saying in my own prayer life, God, there's got to be more than this.
Yep.
And so I just went outside, and I mean, the relationships and the accomplishments and the growth that I have experienced in my own life, it's unbelievable. Like, I'm having, so you talk about having conversations, like I'm having conversations with people I would never have done that with as a Christian.
That right there. And that, you know, I think that's a key thing right there where.
And I'm literally putting myself in the positions. I'm volunteering myself for these conversations. You know, I have a conversation coming up soon with a guy who's Jewish. I had a conversation recently with a trans man. As a Christian, no, I would not have ever. Like, I'm putting myself in a position to continue to experience my unlimited expansion.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, definitely more power to you, because a lot of people don't get that, man. A lot of people aren't open enough to get that. I mean, I know plenty. I mean, this conversation is tailor-made for people that I know that are just like, you know what you know, you're comfortable with what you know, and anything else outside of what you know, even anything that challenges it. I think people most of the time are more scared to think differently because it's so comfortable just to be where they are that they won't even consider the fact. You know what I was thinking of that was so crazy when you were just saying all that was like, I was thinking of like, you know, hate groups, whether it be like, you know, white supremacists or, you know, whatever, people who hate the Asian culture, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. These are people who literally choose to not like a whole species on this planet for whatever made up reasons that they have. You know what I'm saying? Like, it literally is just that. This, I don't like them because of this. And what's this? Motherfuckers ain't all the same. Like, so, so you just got some generalization that ain't even real. But they're missing out on everything that culture has, you know what I'm saying? In ways, because a lot of ways they're still copying a lot of shit that we do anyway, but it's still, you're missing out. So you're closed off for whatever reason you have. You have no knowledge. So you're stupider. And just how it sounds, you're stupider because of your
I love
own
it.
because of your own rationalization. You're dumber, like, without just by definition. But it sucks to say this, but it kind of is the same way with religion. If you choose to just be, and I don't want to offend nobody, but this is the beeline. I get straight to the point on my fucking show. That's why I made it. If you choose to shut yourself down, even if you want to believe, you can believe in something, but if you choose to shut yourself, I'm a Christian, so I don't want to be a part of this life.
Right.
You don't have to be a part of it, but you got to be understanding that it exists. You can't, if you're trying to cut everything out like it doesn't exist, that's not right. That's not supposed to be that way. I mean, but it is. And if you're a believer of the creator and creating all, how can you, somebody who was the created, dismiss the creation? Like,
that's good. That's good.
I don't know, like, if it makes sense, but I'm just like, this how my brain be thinking, yo. I'm like, how can so many people know so much, be here for so little, and have so much understanding about just what they know? Like, you
That's
don't
so
know.
Such a great question.
No, bro.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. But so tell us a little bit more about your book. So I mean, you're obviously somebody, just speaking from you and understanding, you're somebody who wants to spread knowledge. Like, whether you said you're teaching, you were trying to become a pastor, so you want to have a voice that speaks to many. So then you went through your experience and you kind of changed in how your thought process goes. And was it a big difference? Were you like a lot younger? And I'm not trying to say, don't come at me like I'm just like trying to get an understanding of like the concept. Did this happen when you were like, coming out of college, or was it like recently? Like, so
I'm 47, be 48 this year. And it was in my late 30s. And I'm not joking when I say, I'll tell you, I was at my apartment and Barack Obama again had been nominated. He was not just nominated, elected president. And our evangelical white clergy of influence were outwardly expressing their disdain for having a Black president. This particular day, I was at home and CNN was on, and I'd watched this story about a pastor who had invited his grandson to the pulpit to sing a racist song about having a Black president. And I could not take it. I couldn't believe it. I turned my TV off. I stood to start cleaning up around my place. I go over to my front door to pick up some shoes that I had taken off there. And when I stood, I literally exhaled, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. And so I was shocked at that. It literally in stride, my next step, and I said out loud, that's a book. And then my next step was, I wasn't planning on writing a book. So it's not something I always wanted to do. I never thought of myself as a writer. And so I just began to really press into the idea. And I felt like I was to write out the journey of what that looks like, to walk away from the religion that I inherited, the religion I was born into. How do I do that? And it started with asking questions of a lot of what Christianity taught us. And so I literally have noted those questions. It's my journal and journey to freedom. So I noted those questions. But I start though by going back to my time in China and going back to those journals, revisiting that Chandrika and figuring out the difference between that Chandrika and the Chandrika in the moment of frustration, and begin to see how I had evolved very quickly. And started to write, I don't even believe this anymore, and why I don't believe it. And so I have the first part of the book, there's an entry from years prior, and then there is a PS. And then you get towards the middle of the book where it is present day, and that I'm continuing to revisit some of the things Christianity has taught me as I am now back in Western culture and Western Christianity. And I began to ask questions of it and offer sometimes my resolve, and sometimes I don't. I just offer my questions. I think it's important that a person like myself who has roots in Christianity, who has education in Christianity, who has the certification in Christianity, admit that I still have questions. I think that's necessary for this generation.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that shows a lot. It also like brings me to thinking too, like, you know, another reason why, like, you know, I think age is kind of important. Um, I think a lot of times people have this concept of once you get to a certain age, you are who you are. Like, that's it. Like, you know, I'm established. I'm 35. I've been this person for 35 years. That's what I'm doing. I think a lot of people forget, like, hey, there's still ways that you can, you know, whether it be, you know, keep progressing forward or have think differently. You get locked into your own, you know, ideologies or whatever at a certain time. So the fact that you said you were, you know, in your late 30s and you were kind of having these, you know, experiences that I think from my, you know, just dealing with certain people with this same kind of issue, I see so many people who are just like, hey, this is what I've always done. This is what I've always been. There's no other way it can be something else, no matter what's questioned or whatever. They don't even want to ask questions because they don't feel like it's necessary. Mm-hmm. Hey, whatever. You think you have your opinion, that opinion word is like the strongest word in the planet because it gives everybody validation. That's your opinion. So you can have it and I can have mine. But where does the facts come in? Is there any kind of other thing that's going to even close to persuade you into maybe a different situation? Or are you so headstrong on your current thought process that nothing is going to, you know, change your mind in any way? And I think that's the danger, wanting to just have your understanding and then live by it forever. I'm learning, you know, as you grow older and you get older and stuff like that, you have different experiences. Things happen, things change. I'm literally living right now in the life of the whole, oh, when you're young, you think you're going to live forever. And then you get older and I was like, oh, damn, I'm going to the doctor. I'm taking pills and shit. What's going on? Like, I'm literally living in that. And just that small change, which is like, I'm not taking medications and crazy stuff, but just that small change of having to have a doctor's appointment. I never had to have that before. Open my mind up to a whole nother perspective that I never would have even thought I was thinking before. Right. So just that little tiny change, knowing that, okay, I'm just changing from thinking like this to thinking like this. How the hell do you stay bound to just, I'm a Christian, that's what I am, that's what I'm teaching my kids, I'm teaching everybody, no matter what else is happening in my life, this is just what I am. And you sound like you broke through. I guess that's like the definition when everybody says I'm woke. Like that's a woke shit. Everybody thinks they're woke now. Still sleep, but everybody woke.
Everybody woke.
But yeah, it definitely sounds like you kind of found that. And then, to write about it, do you have anything that you attach yourself to now? Or is your road to freedom, is it just that, like, hey, listen, I don't classify myself as anything. Right. I think what I think, and you'll know, like you said, in China, you'll know the kind of person I am by experiencing me, not by my classification.
Right.
Is that kind of how you're trying to live life now?
I mean, are you asking me? Because it sounds like you summed it up.
Listen, I don't never like to presume, like, so I'm like, all right, yo, listen, I don't want to just say it.
You did more than presume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want my experience of God and people, life, to be limited by words, by constructs that come with words.
That's crazy.
I want to create my own, if you will, construct, and that is the unlimited experience of the idea of God. Yeah. Our idea of God, Christianity's idea of God, is that God is everywhere all the time, and omnipresent, and has no beginning and has no end. Well, that's why I want to live.
Have you done like you said you have a degree in what is it called? Biblical studies. Biblical studies. You said you have a degree in it. Obtaining that degree. Now, I know I come from, like I said, a Christian family. I've been in and out of church forever. But I chose to kind of stop going once I got older. But I still respect what I feel like church stands for. I still respect the good word. I still feel like there's a lot. I don't really dive too deep into certain things anymore. But I still hold truth to people trying to better themselves, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know how to call it. But I also know a lot of different, like, like whether it be the Israelites or, different people who see religion as more as a historical, like, deep rooted, whether it be your background, and they go by that as how they look at religion. They think like that's the truth is in the history.
Mm-hmm.
Have you studied that as well? If I'm saying it right.
Have I studied other religions who believe that, or have I studied history?
The history, because there is a history. Like there is a history.
Of course, that came with the degree. But beyond that, I spent 2.5 months reading from Genesis to Revelation while I was in China. I read the Bible as a book. I did it every day. My goal was to complete one book every day. Sometimes I could complete 2, depending on the size. That was my goal. And so, yeah, I've studied the history. I know some of the Greek and Hebrew words, all of that.
Got it.
What I have found in it is that everybody, whether that be history or present, everybody has questions. That a lot of what we are reading had to have started with a question. And so as they took the freedom to ask questions to then get a resolve, to then offer us biblically, I have the same freedom to ask questions. The book of Genesis is, if you want to talk about history, is the book of Genesis. And let me say this, the book of Genesis, that is in the most sold Bible in the world, King James Version, is assigned to Moses as the writer. What we aren't paying attention to is that Moses was not there in the beginning. He writes, in the beginning, God created, but he was not there in the beginning. So,
listen, I got a hold. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, certain things I don't even talk about. Like,
I can't have conversations with the Hebrew Israelites. I can't do that, because the person who they kind of attribute history to, when he first began to write about how all of this started, he was not there. He doesn't write of his presence in the beginning. So he's writing the story, or writing a story, assigning it to someone who did not write their own story.
Listen, you sound like me.
You can miss me with your value of Genesis. I respect you. But you putting your value or projecting your value of it on me doesn't work.
It's very interesting, man. Yeah, like I said, it's just certain things that I try to not, like, get too deep in. And it is just generally my respect of just, like, I feel people going to do what they want to do, yo. I don't feel the need ever to just tell people no, you're wrong. Yeah, I'm not trying to share my knowledge to change your life. Like, you know what you know, you think you know what you know, you do know what you know, whatever. Right. Do it, know it, have fun. But my thing is just the respect, I think, is the most important thing. Respect people for what they do. If you don't like what somebody is thinking or being, leave it alone. You don't got to be a part of it.
You have to do. I want to offer this as it relates to the question you just asked me. Let's break up that word, his story.
Yeah, heard that a lot lately.
You know what I mean? So It's like I don't have to adopt his story. If he was able to have an experience and write of it, why am I not?
Yeah.
That is my inheritance, not the history, not his story. His story is not my inheritance. My inheritance is my own experience, is the ability, the freedom to have my own experience of the world, my own experience of people, my own experience of divinity, and interpret it. I have that freedom.
Yeah. No,
I talk about that in my book. I write an entry called the interpretation of inspiration, because Christianity teaches that the Bible was inspired by God. But the experience of inspiration still has to be interpreted. And that experience of interpreting is personal. So I have the freedom. I came here free enough to have the same experience, to ask, where did we come from? Why are we here? What is this earth for? What is my purpose? And position myself to get an answer or have an experience to then interpret and then be.
Yeah, it's hard to debate, yo, and not even that I'm trying or anything, but it's literally because that's really how I feel, yo. It's been my understanding that I've kind of accepted myself, not even with help, nothing else, but I feel the same way. I just feel like I think people have too much that they try to go by, whether it be history or whether it be reading, whether it be whatever. But I don't think enough people take time, like you said, to just look at and pay attention to what's going on around you in your life. Like, what is the interpretation you're getting?
Yes.
You don't have like you were saying before, everything is like fitting together for me right now with the shit. The beeline, I'm getting it. Your boy getting it. But even everything, like you were saying earlier about like, how do you know you're you without the costume? How do you know you're you without the pieces with it? Yeah. Once you start to understand, like, hey, how do I know I'm me without the people telling me or the books that I'm reading? How do I just live and say, damn, I'm experiencing this, I see that, I have an understanding of this. One of my biggest things was the understanding of, which is crazy, but humans in general. Like, just my understanding, these little 35 years that I've seen people, how people work, how civilizations work, whether it be people of power, whether it be people in general, people manipulate, yo. People change history. People change, their minds. Things change that forces people to change. Mm-hmm. So whenever we discuss dated history, like real dated, that's always something that comes up for me. If the president can do something, and corrupt or whatever, or the governor or the mayor or whatever, they're people of power. How am I so sure that the people that was back then weren't doing things corrupt and changing things or rewriting things or wording things to fit their goal or their benefit? That's why it's so hard for me just to hear this is what happens. This is etched in stone, like, go this way. Because I'm like, but how do I have that acceptance when I'm living now and experiencing what people do? Why do I trust it then? Like, they didn't do that then. They definitely did that shit then.
Right.
So if they did it then, why am I going to live like they didn't? Like,
I think one of my favorite examples of that is how, it's written that God massacred. That's a very present word today, that God massacred an entire human race except for one family. We accept that about God and place Christianity or God at the helm of Christianity and I write about this, while we are heartbroken, try not to cry, while we are heartbroken about this young man sitting on a roof and killing families.
Yeah, it's unreal, yo.
Walking into a school and killing 17 students. Yeah. We are heartbroken, but we put God at the helm of a story of massacring an entire human race. And we're okay with that.
But you know why, though, right? The reason why is because it was understood. They weren't living like they should have been living, so God had to make the decision. That's where it comes.
But let me say that these people, these kids, these babies. Mm-hmm. So don't get it twisted. I said an entire human race. So there were kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So kids were expected to live.
Listen,
the way
that shit is crazy.
So you're saying to me that it's okay for these young men to go and take the lives of people because they weren't living
Listen, that's the reason why it is controversial. That's the reason why even me, I'm like I said, and one thing that kicks my ass every single time is that I haven't fully read the Bible. I'm actually out of an app on my phone right now because, like I said, Auntie Tiff, she's very heavy into, the Bible and reading and everything, learning about it, and that's one big thing. Every Saturday they do it, but it's literally, I'm trying to gain more of an understanding because living with her and because I'm trying to find my own path and connection a little bit better than I ever have before because of my current experiences. But I'm trying to find my own path, not somebody else's, not a design that was made to tailor to a whole bunch of people like Christianity or anything like that.
Right.
But it's very interesting what people will accept when you put that on it, like they weren't living right, so it had to be done.
But like I said, kids weren't living right, and this is the other thing I write about. God being all-knowing, as Christianity has told us, God did not know that wiping out or massacring humanity wasn't going to fix it.
Yeah,
because guess what? Still not fixed.
Came back. Yeah.
It's still not fixed.
This is that logical kind of conversation that you can't have with people that just want to believe. Like you can't have it. And I'm not trying to down anybody.
The flood was sent to get rid of evil, and evil still exists.
Chandrika, let me ask you, like, do you feel it? I mean, you definitely, I can just tell, like, because I'm just kind of positioning it, and you're just like taking it and running with it. But everything that you're saying is exactly to my point of what I was saying before. Like, this is the shit that if you're going to hear this conversation, I mean, I don't understand what kind of fault or what kind of argument you're going to make towards that. Like, if you got one, I am open to hear it, because what can you say when that logic hits you? Like, what are you going to make up? Oh, well, that's just what it is. Oh, okay. Like, that's where you get them arguments with your girl. Like, you mad. Hey, well, that's what I did. Oh,
I read a scripture the other day about David, and David supposedly had sinned against God, and he makes this admission to his friend Nathan. Nathan says, God is not going to kill you. He's not going to take you. He's not going to punish you, but he is going to strike your child with sickness and kill your child. Mm. Christians are at the line of fighting for abortion, while David said, or Nathan tells David, that God is going to kill your child. David went through days of fasting and praying and pleading, according to the narrative, for God to let his son live. Didn't happen. Yeah. So God is killing children still. And you talked about generations later, way from the story of Noah's Ark to David now living. Generations, I mean, no telling how many. And God is still killing children. And you say that God does not like or has no appreciation or a sin, abortion is a sin. And I could go on and on about, about these kinds of stories that are on the, the tablets, if you will, of Christianity.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, it's very interesting conversation, man. And it's like, it's one of them conversations where it's just like, you want to talk about it, but it just seems like, oh, what the fuck ever. Like, at least for me, like, I mean, it's one of those things, like I said, it's always a discussion that, I mean, it's so important that you want to talk about it, but it just seems like it's, no matter what's going to happen, you're going to talk to people with deaf ears, not trying to change anybody's mind. Once again, like, it's just, I'm never trying to change anybody's mind, but it is interesting. Like, when you do talk about a topic and you speak facts or you speak realistic shit and you have to be forced to face that, like, how do you have a comeback? Other than, damn, you just kind of, I'm backed in the corner now. What do I do? Oh, just throw anything. Like, you have to have like a rational fucking way to, reprise your thought process.
Right.
But you can't all the time, because especially if it's not real. But very interesting. So where can we find your book?
It is on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million. If you want to support Black businesses,
definitely.
What is it called? Book Mecca. And so, yeah, it's in a plethora of places. Google it. I appreciate the support.
Yeah.
If you have questions about what you're reading, reach out to me, but let me know how you learned about me, because otherwise you look strange.
You gotta be
like,
careful,
I don't know
right?
who this is my inbox, but
Yep.
let me know how you heard about me. And I'm willing to continue to have these kinds of conversations.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Chandrika, definitely thank you for coming on. And, this is a topic I usually don't really dive too deep into, like religion and different things, but I did make this Talking with Strangers segment. So anybody's free to come on and talk about anything. Like I said, I'm going to talk. I'm not closed to nothing. I'll talk about anything, you know what I'm saying? So anybody want to come on and talk about anything, definitely a great, story that you told today. I'm actually really interested in your book as well. I don't get down too much with, the religious topic too much. Like I said, I'm kind of just on my own journey. I speak with God and I try to figure out my own self and my own life. I be thankful that, thank you, I woke up. Like, I know I don't have to, just with all the recent tragedies, thank you for keeping my family safe, things like that, man. But it's definitely good to hear that people are still trying to explore things on their own instead of just following the narrative. It does give hope to like humanity, man, because we have to be able to continue to move forward without our hands being held in ways that, just whatever was already preset here for us. Like, nobody has an open mind anymore. Everything is just being, taught to you. And it's difficult to have any kind of originality anymore. But anyway, whatever. I'm talking a lot.
I wanted to leave. Can I leave this one
yeah,
thought?
Sure.
Only
please.
Because you continue to kind of revisit it. It is written of Jesus to have said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all of your strength. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Your is a word that identifies self. It is a self-identifier. So self is mine. My mind is mine. My neighbor is mine. My strength is mine. It's mine. Who is your God? That's all I have.
All right, listen, take it for how it is. I mean, yeah, like I said, once again, it's a hard topic. I don't know. I don't have a right answer. I guess that's what it is. So it's literally like interpretation is the only way you can really look at it in most ways. But yeah, it's definitely a good message to, like, at least to ponder and think about, and everybody take it for what you want to take it for, and listen to it. But definitely the book sounds very interesting. Even if you want to just kind of read it to hate what it says, like, get it, check it out. That's a lot of times that's a lot of people's, like, I'm gonna get it, see if she's right. Hey, get it.
I'm not trying to be right. I am trying to be real.
But that's what
to be right.
That's how people look at shit, yo. Yeah, I definitely feel you. But that's how. But especially with hot topics, like, that's how people look at shit. People want to find a reason to just dismiss what you're saying.
Right.
People will pay money to do that shit. Like, that's why you got trolls and people who do that shit already. But hey, Chandrika, it's actually been really good talking to you. It actually, like, put me in a different perspective. I don't have too many shows like this, so definitely original in this area. But hey, definitely going to check out your book. We're going to put all the information in the description so you can check her out. Hit her up with some emails. Don't flood it with all hate. You know what I'm saying? Respect everybody's way of living. That's a huge message for this episode right here. Respect everybody's way of living, yo. Even the people that do hate, if they do it, stay away. Respect their decision to make their own decision, because damn well we don't want no damn dictatorship running around telling us how to live and thinking shit. At least I don't. But hey, Beeline, love y'all so much. Hey, Chandrika, anything else in closing?
Look me up on social media, Chandrika D. Phea, on all major platforms.
Y'all heard it right here on the Beeline, baby. We back every single week. It's your boy Brian B telling you to stay true, stay positive, pay attention, baby.
Yes.
And as always, join us next week. Thursday night, we're gonna have ENT show. Check it out. It's your boy Brian B.